Alright, hello everyone. We are going to get underway here with another tutorial, Thor 10. We're going to focus on a very similar bag to what I've been going with. The one thing that I do want to mention is my Thor Hammer. You can take a look at kind of the stats. So this is going to be very similar to a Thor 5, for example. And you know, it's going to have a little bit extra ball guide, a little bit of extra backspin, a little bit extra topspin. But aside for that, it's going to be virtually the same club. And, you know, similarly to an Epoch 4, it's going to, or not Epoch 4, Thor 4, it'll have, you know, just 3 yards longer than that, a little bit more topspin than that, and even a little bit more ball guide, I think. But, you know, those are the three things that seem to keep changing from 3 to 4 to 5. It's just kind of, you know, the top spin keeps getting a little bit higher, and the ball guide, and just a little bit of power boost, but not much changing. And I do want to, you know, say that even though I'm going to use 6, for the most part, I'm going to use minimal topspin, just to show you that even if you have a 4, even a 3, you're technically not going to be in trouble. With Thor 3, 4, they're going to have the same exact accuracy, which means your ring yards per ring, win per ring is going to be the exact same. You can just kind of model some of my spins that I use, and it will play very similarly. So let's get underway here and just keep grinding away at Thor 10 here. So I've only been doing Thor 10 for you guys on camera here. I've just been kind of, you know, one continuous feed here. I did some rock, I did some Thor, and, you know, I've just been kind of splicing these together. There hasn't been any real changes. And like I said, you know, we're going to use more of a, you know, mid-range top spin. I'm not going to get too carried away with it. We're going to play it right around a full bullseye here, half a bullseye, 5 rings, a little bit of extra hook. Notice how I'm kind of backing off just slightly on the power ball. I didn't go at it with a Kingmaker. Of course I could have. It would have made my life just a tiny bit easier, but I knew I could get the job done with the katana. So if you know, have a similar club, Thor 4, Thor 5, whatever, you could easily play that wind with a Kingmaker. One of the suggestions that I want to give you guys, make sure that you guys stay focused on, is, you know, side spin has a little bit more use than distance does in this game. It might not seem that way, but that's one of the reasons that, you know, you continue to see me stay away from extra mile. It's just not accurate enough. So, you know, for example, that pool that I just hit, if somebody with extra mile would have used my exact same aim, exact same pull, I might be in that right rough. So, just one of those things to keep in mind. I don't know what's going on with this guy's connection here. I have no idea what's going on. I don't even know if he got that tee shot off. So notice what I try to do here is I would try to stay away from that sand, that all that you know, rough. Notice how I'm into power here, so you know, you might want to go a little bit more than, say, 8.4 rings. So I am going to go 9.5, somewhere in there. Perfect ball. Let's see what this looks like. I'll give it a chance. Just a little bit of an underplay. Needed to go just a little bit more. Oh wow, that's going to roll all the way down that hill. So, that's the safest way to play that. It allows me to, for instance, great ball it to the right and stay out of the rough, stay out of the sand. You just have to have very precise aim and be very smart with the way that you approach that hole. And I'm glad that we got to add this video in here because I just wanted to show you guys kind of an alternate approach to this hole. Because we have got it in the face a couple times, and I know I've had difficulties getting it to that same spot. So, I probably should have just waited. Well, I don't know. It depends on whether or not this guy would have got it up here on the green or not. I mean, I don't want to just, it kind of makes it a little bit tougher when he's going second because I kind of have to predict his next move. Like, I don't know where he's going to put this shot, and if he's in the sand, like, what would I do? So, when I'm not in the driver's seat, it makes it a little bit harder to decide because, if I give this guy strokes, he's not going to return the favor. So, just something that, just a little bit of uncertainty when you're going first and don't have control of, the outcome of the game. Let's see how he does there. That's not too bad, though. It was rather conservative, staying away from the rough, staying away from the bunker. That's very similarly how I would play it if I had a Titan, and I was more towards max sniper there. I would probably do a very similar shot to what you saw him do there. Let's see if I can't get rid of this chest real quick. But, that's one of the things that I just want to point out. People are super, into balls like Titan. And it just doesn't have the necessary ball side spin to be able to give it nice, good runs towards the pin, especially on some of the shootouts. Having that extra side spin boost is way more important than having that length boost. So this shot can be a little bit hit or miss. It's not really downwind enough to even really consider this, but I'm going to try anyway. Just put on a little bit of extra power, and we'll go at it right off the edge of this cliff here. Try it like this. And we just got ourselves to pitch territory. That shot can be very, hit or miss, very risky, especially on crosswinds. Here we're going to see Apocalypse 4 should be very similar distance-wise as mine. But the same kind of thing applies here, especially on a crosswind. You have to be very careful with the shot because, especially when you go off the cliff there, it's not going to give any extra carry when you aim off the cliff. So it can really make the shot a little bit more questionable. Ooh, and that good ball's really going to make things hard on him. I don't think he's going to... Yeah, I didn't think so. So you really have to be very precise with your timing when you get wind like that. And now he got wind in the face. So it's pretty much going to take him out of the hole altogether. So I am right around half distance here. We're going to just try to bring this in with a little bit of speed here, kind of like this. at half distance, I might try to play about 5 rings. So just going about a bullseye there. We're just going to try to slam the hole more than anything. There you see, perfect ball. Right into the stick. So here you can see wind straight in the face now. Unfortunately, bad luck for that guy. But, you know, that's just the way that hole goes sometimes. You know, even my shot was very questionable. You have to do everything just right. As you can see, I barely crept onto the hill. It just, when you're out on the edge of the cliff like that, the ball just doesn't, you know, carry the way it's supposed to. So it can be a real questionable shot when you get out to the edge like that. So we've gotten this one a couple times. Not sure I've gotten this one with Thor, but I'm going to show you that, especially with the Thor, this is going to be a very easy hole. We're going to really be able to, you know, and I kind of do kind of what this guy's doing. Well, I don't do the, I would do just a tiny bit of curl, but I use about, you know, about half a bullseye's worth of aim. It's very similar to what this guy did. It's going to work out for him, but you know, not by much. That was a little bit questionable, the way that he set up to do that. I'm going to show you a little bit more foolproof method to go about doing it. You know, we're going to use very similar aim, but we're going to do it, you know, a lot of curl or side spin there. I'm going to use, like I said, you know, with my top spin, we're going to do very similar to what I mentioned that we were going to do. And I will do roughly about 5 rings, more or less. And we're just going to do just a hair worth of curl as well. And what this is going to do is it's just going to, you know, create some margin of error. As you can see, it goes much more down the center as opposed to the way that that guy did with no curl and you know, just a little bit left there, and that guy could have put his in the rough. Sand is also over there to the left as well. And one of the biggest reasons for using side spin balls, so let's say, you know, the wind was completely the opposite and it was right to left super strong, and you needed to counter the wind and get it to curl over. Using that 3 side spin ball would really help your calls to get the ball more back on line. You know, there's no wind that would take you out of the hole other than like in the face there. So here you can see we're almost towards max. We are going to, for sure, kind of go at it like this. Kind of my preferred method to go at this. So I just want to see in terms of how much room I have, because we are going to curl this just slightly to the right as well. And we are going to play relatively close to max, but not quite. So there's 5, we're going to do 8 here, right around 8 rings. And I am going to gently curl it because I am, you know, very much away from the tree. And we're going to try to give this a run towards the pin. Let's see what we can get here. Nope, just a little bit to the right. So it's just a little bit too much curl. But you can see you're going to be able to get very aggressive with a lot of winds. if you just use some very good strategy. Left to right is going to be just a little bit more challenging because you're going to have to cheat that tree a little bit more than we had to there. But as you can see, there's going to be a very good chance that you guys can give that a run in Tour 10. It's pretty hard to make. I haven't made it very many times, only a few, maybe once or twice, couple, maybe a third time. It's definitely been a low number, but you can see we can get relatively close to the hole every time. Now I do want to talk about this one because this is a new redesigned green, and the way that I play this now is completely different than I used to. So if you guys have watched my old tutorials, the method that I'm using for this shootout is different now. So it might be worth, paying attention to my new shootout. That's actually relatively good done. Oh, that's going to be tough to beat. So, pretty good for the most part. Let's see what I can do. I try to do very differently than what I used to do, which is I actually intentionally now spin it down the hill. And I used to never do this. But now I find it to be kind of a good method. And I will use very close to a max adjustment, so you can just see kind of how I have it running out. And we are, like I mentioned, going to use close to a max ring adjustment. So close to 8 rings there, just to be a little bit, since it is, coming in right to left. I do want to stick it out just a bit. And we are going to be very close. That guy might have edged me out. I think he was inside a yard as well. So, oh my God, 1/100th of a yard. So, little heartbreaker there, but that's just kind of the break sometimes. No big deal. We're going to just keep rolling with it. Notice how, in that shootout I used right to left spin. I spun it down the hill. I never used to do that at all. So that's kind of a new thing that I do. And just here of late, it's nothing that I've always done. But you see how the ball just kind of stops by the hole now. So that is kind of my preferred method to do. It's just kind of use the natural slope and just kind of get it going down the hole, towards the hole. And here for this one, we're just going to kind of wing it a little bit. I'm just trying to anticipate kind of where I'm going to land it and go at it from here. Not going to really add much power here. We're just trying to guesstimate. See how this looks. It's pretty good. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. So you can see what I was kind of trying to do there. I was trying to counter it to the right. You always have to keep in mind, the wind's blowing right to left. So whatever you see on the guide, it's going to land a little bit more left than what you're seeing. So you just kind of play with the fairway a little bit. And that's what I was doing with the zooming out. Notice how I didn't really use any power. I just let it naturally kind of drift up there. But I was using the fairway just as a guide to basically establish my power so I could guess, because you see this guy's missing to the right there and he's hitting the rough. And if you really get a nice visual, you can just kind of see what the ball's doing a little bit better. And that's what you see me doing there, is playing it that way. So that's one of the biggest tips. You're going to have a downwind to even go for that shot. Otherwise, that's going to be very challenging to execute if you don't have downwind there. But you can see you just kind of gotta, you just gotta visualize the shot a little bit. So, um, if you just want to kind of focus on a little bit what I did there, and just kind of get a sense of, stretching out that aim arrow there to just kind of see where the ball's going to land and how it's going to respond. And that's how you saw me playing with the side spin a couple of times to just kind of counter all that. And then just to kind of straighten out the line, I might have even curled it a little bit. And that just has to do because the wind was pointed right to left. If the wind was vice versa, I'd be doing the opposite. I'd realize that the ball's going to, drift a little bit more than you see the ball guide. So always be thinking about the ball guide and just how the shot is going to shape different to what you're seeing on the ball guide. Because there's never going to be a time where the ball just goes like the ball guide. So you have to be thinking about this every single time you play, every hole. So again, I do have this hole up a couple times. Notice how, I'm going to back off some of the topspin, just like I said I would. I'd play it more like a Thor 4, Thor 5. But I do get semi-aggressive on this hole, I want you guys to know. If you get it down to the edge of that fairway, you never know what your second wind's going to be, and you could potentially go for the green. So you're going to see me get somewhat aggressive. Anyway, I'm going to lay off of it a little bit here. Let's see what this looks like. Notice how I just try to keep the momentum of the ball going back to the left, because you see how shaped the fair. Ooh, just in the rough. So that's going to take me out of the hole. I'm just going to have to go for a layup, just by a foot. So you just kind of got to estimate what's going to happen there, and there's no way of knowing whether or not you're going to be able to go for the green in 2 anyway. So it's all just a guess. So what I recommend is close that down for now. I'm going to do a couple more holes with you guys. Let's see where this is. That's a little short. It is going to be, dependent upon the wind. Also, it depends on what club this guy brings to the table. We don't know. I mean, if he has sniper, it would be a hard go for anyway. And here you see, we do have a layup wind anyway. So no real foul here. I'm going to go about 6 rings. Just kind of counter. Yep, great ball too. That might actually put me in the rough. Two ring pull might be, we'll see. Nope. Just enough to hold. I play through a lot of those layup shots just real quick. I know it's not the end of the world if I go in the rough, so I really don't care if I hit a pull into the rough. It's not the end of the world, to be honest with you. I'm just as likely to make it from the rough, playing a little bit less wind resistance. Especially from this far on this hole. This hole's on kind of a weird ridge, so there's no way to guarantee you can make it, regardless of whatever approach you guys tried to do on this hole. So let's see what I can do here. I usually play this pretty close to mid club on this layup shot. And take a look what I try to do with the ball guide. I just try to kind of groove it more in line with the hole. And like I mentioned, I might try to do, I'm going to try to land it kind of on the front here. And 2 per ring, somewhere in there. Be an entire bullseye, somewhere in there. Might just maybe try to counter it left as well. See what this looks like. A very tough shot to make, regardless how you do it. You can see that the way that bounced, it's nothing like, you just never know how it's going to land. You have to be very precise with your landing, and just the littlest misses, and it just goes nothing like you expect the shot to. So it is a very hard shot to make, but every once in a while, I'll get it grooved just right, and it will take the shot shape towards the hole. But overall, all in all, this is just kind of a brute shot to try to make. I make it sometimes, but every time I do, I feel like I just got really lucky, kind of. So let's take a look at what playoff hole they're going to give us. Oh, nice. It looks like a big crosswind. I haven't done this in a while. I like to do right around maybe 4 backspin, somewhere in there, when I get a side wind like this. And I'll just kind of start it off here. I usually play 30% extra wind, maybe, 11 miles per hour. So somewhere in here. And then 5, 10. So I know that's probably going to hang it out a little bit to the right. Definitely was not going for that great ball. As you can see, it was working its way back too. It was probably going to be pretty solid. And then I went and hit that great ball. It was either a 1 or a 2 ringer. And might be enough to cost me this shot. We'll see. Little disappointing finish there, as it's not exactly what I was trying to do. This guy great balled it the other way. So 2 kind of wayward ones. Looks like I'm going to hold on here just barely, yard or 2. A little fortunate, but at the same time, I don't pull my sniper too often. It was a little unfortunate. My timing was a little early there. Castaway card, just what I need. All right, this one again. I did get this one the other day. And we're going to try to do this similarly. I usually use right around 5 topspin for this hole. So you're going to see me kind of land it right around here. Just kind of topspin it. With a 9 wind, I might go 6 rings or so. 5, 6. Let's try that. And I mentioned this last time, perfect ball is going to be kind of the critical thing when you're playing this hole. Any little bit of pull can be enough to cost you the hole. So you do want to be very cautious when hitting your shot here, as 1 to 2 rings on either side, especially 2 rings, but sometimes, and that's one of the biggest reasons that, especially extra mile, this Epoch 4 is going to be about equal to my accuracy. So this guy's going to have just right around the same accuracy I do. Let's see what he can do. So his ring adjustment will need to be very similarly to what I just mentioned I just did. Right around 6 rings. And it looks like he's a little under and then pulled it to the right as well. So that is going to more than likely take him out of the hole. You do have to be very cautious and very precise with your movements, but he can still make that pitch. So let's see if he's able to do that here. And I'm just going to play this right off the side of the hole here. Just pop this up in real quick and see if he can get his to go in as well. An unlucky break there. You can see kind of the ins and outs of this hole. If you're going to do that fairway bump shot, you got to play at least 20% extra wind. So, if your Thor is, for example, usually 1.7, closer to 1.5 at least, 1.4, 1.5, it's going to be more of the ring adjustment. So that's roughly close to 20% extra. And that's the biggest tip that I can give you there. I do like to go for that rough bump, as you see kind of the way that I'm doing it. Just kind of rough bumping it out of there. Just always keep in mind, the wind angle. If it's into the face, you might have saw the way that I was lining up, it was more towards the fairway because I knew that the ball guide was going to compress a bit when we actually played the shot. So sometimes when we get downwind, I go for where that guy's aiming. But it can also be a very challenging shot to execute. But one of the reasons that I go for it is because even if I hit that bunker there, for all intents and purposes, especially if you put Spitfire on, you can still get to the green. So this can be a very risky shot. Let's see if this guy can pull it off. See what that looks like. No idea where that hit. He is in, I don't know what just happened. And we have no idea. Didn't even get to see it. Whatever he did was crazy looking. I can already tell kind of what I need to do if I'm going to go for it. I'm going to use more of that, Thor 5, Thor. And I'm going to get, kind of aimed over here. 5, 6 rings. It's going to go over. That great ball might take me out of it. I'll probably miss the fairway with that great ball. But like I said, most wins, if you put your Spitfire on, you will still be okay. So that's one of the reasons that I pop it there. They did give me kind of worst case scenario straight in the face, but that's one of the reasons that you put a Kingmaker on as well. just to kind of bail you out of a little bit more trouble. But at the same time, this guy is kind of getting lucky that I'm in the rough, and they give me straight in the grill to kind of recover for. It kind of gives them the opportunity to beat me outright. But if you do execute, you can still, get out of this jam. I just wanted to kind of go this way. I don't always go this way, but I do it sometimes. And I just wanted to show you this as just kind of an alternative option. Nothing, of course, that you need to. You can, of course, always go over there and play it safe. But let me just show you. Here we're beating it down. I still easily got it to the hole. And that's one of the biggest reasons to get it to a Kingmaker, and also to use a Spitfire as opposed to a Malibu. So guys use a Malibu and they get that wind, and then I beat them. There is few cases where they'll get downwind, and they will get bailed out with a Malibu and still be able to get it to the green, but it's a very isolated case. Needs to basically point right at the hole for you to get a Malibu there. So and that's one of the biggest reasons that I still go for that shot. It's just because it's a very low percentage that you're going to play yourself out of the hole if you put Spitfire on. And this is one of the biggest reasons that we use Thor Hammer, is for this hole. This isn't a great wind for it, but it can still be done. It's kind of, I'm kind of, one of the things that I don't like about doing this sniper shot is I can't really see where the ball, like I can't get a sense of where the ball's going to land to actually kind of, figure this out for myself. So I kind of just gotta know, and that kind of stinks a little bit. So this is just kind of a guess, especially since I haven't played it in a while. I mean, it's a pretty educated guess, but as you can see, I can just kind of screw up a little bit. And plus, I also kind of give him the blueprint as to what to do, because he can just, at that point, just kind of shot copy me and just make a 1 to 2 yard adjustment on what I just did, and easily hit the same exact shot. But like I said, with this downhill case, that's one of the things that I don't like, is when it's about to switch up to the driver. You can't you can't pull up on the power without it switching up to the driver. And that's one of the things that kind of frustrates me a little bit, because I would just like to kind of see where it's going to, play out, so I can kind of pick a fairway spot as opposed to what you just saw me do. Let's see what this guy does. He got it a little jerky. His is coming in, cutting a little bit farther to the left than mine. So I am going to hold on here. It helps that he had Cataclysm and I had Sniper, so he couldn't, exactly shot for shot me there. But that is one of the things that, I do recommend you guys do, is you do use your opponent's, shot cop and pay attention to what he's doing. If you're, play the strategy that if he's, if you're going second, just pay attention to his movements. What I don't like about the shot that I just picked is I picked something that is very easy. I basically just had Sniper right at the end. So it's easy to tell, I have my Sniper right at the end. You know exactly where I am. You know exactly where I'm positioned. And then you can just kind of, position everything else. And kind of, for the most part, you could, especially if you're, well at paying attention to what your opponent's doing, you could, ease in, an extra yard or two on them, no question, just by, all you would need to do is kind of model my shot, everything I did, but just land it 2 yards to the right of where I just did, and it would be perfect right on the hole. So I do want to mention, so this is one of the only wins that I do go over, to where you just saw this guy go. I usually do try to go over there, but I do try to stay back a little bit farther when I do it. So I don't like to go to where that guy just did. Ideally, it's kind of my least favorite to play this shot, but I do it when forced. So here you're going to see, this is going to be more of my landing zone here. I'm going to do it with some spin and try to do it like this. Notice how I kind of do it. I just kind of lay back a little bit more, try to stay as far away from the trees as possible when I need to do this. So it gives me kind of, the best shot arc time to get up over the trees, as opposed to, the low part of my trail going through the trees. Let's see what we got here. Now we're straight up through. See how much I can play with this. Looks like for the most part, I can kind of skip it up, down, along here. So we'll just try to do that. Maybe with about 2 top spin or so, kind of like this. We'll just try to estimate, where we got it going up towards the hole here. And I'm probably going to pull back probably about 7, 8 rings. I am into power. I want you guys to be fully aware of that, which means the ball will shoot a little bit, farther than what it shows. So it is going to kind of gather a little bit of speed, and that's why I'm kind of leaving it short the way that I am, because I know it's just going to kind of project out through. So I don't know if you noticed what I was doing with my shot trail, but I didn't bring it down to the hole, like out, full run out, because I knew it would just kind of release on its own. Since I'm into power plus straight downwind, it's just going to kind of expand my shot trail out, and it's just going to naturally take care of itself. So now I roll it straight in here. And I don't know how long we've done, maybe about an hour. At least 45 minutes. I might just cut this off after this one, and I'll pick it up after, a little bit later. I do want to mention, I definitely go max club here. Notice how this guy, he's aiming up a little bit high. I tend to do the same thing. I like to land it up high there. It really uses the funnel well. I don't usually curl it as much as this guy. You really don't need to. Let's see where he lands. So you really don't need all that curl, and that's one of the reasons that I don't do it. Here his is gently coming down. You can let the natural slope of the hill take it down there. You don't need to force it down there as much as you're seeing there, but all in all there, pretty decent shot. One of the things that I do want to point out for you guys here is, Thor Hammer. You're going to be able to see some nice ball guide, so you could just kind of use my setup more than anything here. And I'm just going to try to do that more than anything. You can see that I have it kind of back towards the hill there. And I might do, right around 4.5 rings from that spot, at least 4. Like I said, I do like to land it high up on the hill. So let's see if I can do that. And like I said, if you do it properly, especially if you get it way up there, you do not need to curl it. It will just naturally shoot its way down. And, that's the way that I typically do it. It didn't quite get the roll that I wanted, so I do think that I'm just going to be outside this guy. But, all in all, if you do this right, you don't need to curl it. And I did land a little bit low on the hill, and that's, kind of the discrepancy as to why I didn't hold on there for the victory. Had I hit that just a tiny bit higher on the hill, it bounces down harder, and it would have shot down more towards the hole. So that's one of the beauties of using the side spin balls, is you're not going to need to curl that one if you execute and get it precisely where you want it. And if you want to see kind of, I did do it very successfully with the rock. That one right there was really good as well. It just kind of took kind of one or two bad bounces, and it just kind of slowed itself down a little bit. And part of that might have to do with being kind of a right to left wind there. So, but anyway, I mean, you saw, kind of the method to kind of keep yourself kind of consistent, is just kind of, take it high up on that hill and just let the hill kind of feed itself down. And like I said, you can get away with very little curl. If the wind was the opposite, left to right, definitely don't use any curl. I could have applied a little, but I knew at the same time, it didn't need it. I mean, you could even see from my ball guide that it was really swooping around there, going past the hole. And that's one of the, nice reasons that I definitely want to show you Thor, because keep in mind, your Thor 4, your Thor 5, if you hit that same exact shot that I was setting up to, it's going to have that same guide that you saw mine do, but the only difference is you can't see it because you have a little bit less ball guide. So I wanted to, it's a nice aid showing you guys with these advanced clubs. And notice how I'm not, I'm not cranking up the backspin, I'm not cranking up the topspin. So more than anything, I'm just trying to show you as a shot aid as to what the ball guide's doing when you're actually hitting these shots. So hopefully you find those useful. And, I'll be uploading this shortly. And good luck with your Tour 10 play. Let me know how it goes for you guys. And, be on the lookout. I'm going to try to, for the most part, maybe finish 10 off, either with Thor or something. I can switch to a POC, but, I really don't think you need a POC for this setup. In fact, it can actually hinder you a little bit, especially if you have a POC 4, a POC 5, because backspin, in my opinion, is much more critical. So I would suggest for you guys to stick with a Thor, a rock, or a QB. I can switch to QB if you guys want, and I can do some QB, but it's going to play very similarly to rock, just with a little bit less distance. But I don't know if you guys have noticed, so the entire time that I've been doing the streams, not one time, you can tally up my total here, 3 to 4 hours, not one time has distance cost me any hole. Not once. So in 3 to 4 hours, keep that in mind. So it just shows you how limited those opportunities where guys are going to beat you because they pounded it down there and you couldn't. It's just a very, very small percentage chance that you're going to lose to these type of opponents. But nevertheless, good luck out there, guys, and catch you guys on the next one.